Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. You'll have to forgive me if the intro to this video is a little bit lengthy, but it puts into context the cards that I want to show off in today's video. It was about a week ago that I did my first ever top 50 most valuable vintage cards in my collection. And most recently, I did one of my monthly top 10 vintage baseball card sales on eBay video. And when I was doing the research for that top 10 eBay sales videos, that I came across two cards that fell into the top 10 list from the 1970s. The first was a 1978 Topps Nolan Ryan, and the second one was a 1979 Topps Mike Schmidt. Now, in that top 10 list from the 1970s, there was a 1978 Topps Nolan Ryan in a PSA 9 that sold for $2,500. There was also a 1979 Topps Mike Schmidt in a PSA 10 that sold for $3,500. Now, I don't have a Nolan Ryan in a PSA 9 or a Mike Schmidt in a PSA 10, but I recalled that I had a Nolan Ryan in a PSA 8, one grade lower, and a 1979 Topps Mike Schmidt in a PSA 9. Now, when you go from one grade up to the next grade, when you're talking about the lower grades, jumping from, say, a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to a 4, the price difference is typically not that great unless you're already talking about a very valuable card. But when you go from a very high grade to the next grade up, usually the population becomes really small, and the price gap between those two numerical grades could be quite substantial. So when you go from an 8 to a 9 and a 9 to a 10, those two jumps, depending on the card, could be significant. But knowing that in these two particular cases, for these two cards, I had one grade lower, and the grade higher than me was $2,500 or $3,500, I said, boy, let me look up the value of those two cards because they may have some decent value. And going back to my top 50 most valuable vintage cards, when I was figuring out what cards would probably fall into my top 50, I really didn't consider even looking up the cards, say, from 1976 to 1980. I just didn't think any of those in my collection would be valuable enough to make my top 50. So what I did was I looked up my 78 Ryan and my 79 Mike Schmidt, and sure enough, the value of those two cards would have made my top 50 most valuable list. So I said, geez, if I missed those two, did I miss any others? And so I went through my couple of 1980s that were a higher grade. Sure enough, they would not have met or been a part of my top 50, made the top 50. Looked at a couple 77s, some other 78s and 79s, and yeah, there were some that, again, would not have met the top 50. But I did find three others. So there were 5 cards between 1978 and 79 that would have made my top 50 list. So I want to show those 5 cards off, let you know where they would have fallen on my top 50. And so moving forward next year, when I do a comparison, those 5 cards will be part of the top 50 that I will compare what cards moved up, down, dropped out, added in, all that thing, comparison for next year. And I'll also tell you which 5 cards fell out of the top 50. And then secondly, I was a lucky winner in the MrFisherbike 1000 subscriber contest. In fact, I was the first name chosen, or first channel chosen, so I got to choose between the 4 different prizes that Jason was giving away. So I want to show off that prize that I chose, and also he was also very kind to include some extras, so I'll show those off as well. So again, I apologize for the lengthy intro, but again, it ties into the cards that I want to show off here. So let's go turn the camera around and show them off. All right. Okay, so here we go. We have the first card that should have been in my top 50, and this was a complete surprise. It's my 1979 Topps Raleigh Fingers. Now, it's a PSA 9, and that's the reason for it. Some of these 79s, for some of these players, I mean, he's not a, highly collected Hall of Famer, but in this case, it came down to condition. And in a PSA 9, and I've been going off of, I put my top 50 together based on average VCP price for a particular grade. So in a PSA 9, the current average price is $103. So this should have been number 48 on my list of top 50. The next one is that 1979 Topps Mike Schmidt in a PSA 9. The current average VCP price is $112. So this one should have been number 46 on my list. Next, another surprise, my 1978 Topps Fergie Jenkins. Now this is also in a PSA 9, and again, this could very well come down to population, but it's also the average VCP price is $112. So just ranking it by year, this would have been number 45 on my list. Again, none of these cards would have cracked the top 25, but it did push some out from the bottom 25. All right, the next one is my 1978 Topps Dave Winfield in a PSA 9. This one, the current average VCP price is $115. So this one would have been card number 42 on my top 50 list. And finally, the Nolan Ryan. So here is my Nolan Ryan in a PSA 8. This one shocked me, not so much that it would have fallen into my top 50, but actually what the current average value is. Now, I think when I first got this was when I first started collecting, building my vintage collection. I started going after the 78s. This is my all-time favorite set. This was the year I started collecting. A lot of nostalgia for me for the 1978 Topps set. So I started off by buying 78 Topps Hall of Famers. And this was one of my more expensive purchases, but I don't think I paid much more than around $50. Well, imagine my surprise to find out that the current average VCP price in a PSA 8 is $181. So this one should have been number 30 on my top 50 list. So what cards did these 5 push out of my top 50? Well, it would have been my 1962 Topps Stan Musial, my 1963 Topps Warren Spahn, my 1971 Topps Hank Aaron, my 1967 Topps Roberto Clemente, and my 1963 Topps Sandy Koufax. So again, when you compare those players to maybe a Raleigh Fingers or Fergie Jenkins, in that case, it comes down to grade and condition. So my Koufax and my Clemente, they were 4.5s. My Hank Aaron was a PSA 5. My Warren Spahn, a PSA 6. My Stan Musial, a BVG 7. So again, it's not necessarily the player, the card, it's the grade. And these just happen to be high grade examples, where those other ones were lower or mid grade examples. And yeah, these actually are worth more than those others. So, all right, just wanted to give an update to my top 50. All right, now on to Jason, MrFisherbike's contest. He sent a nice card along with my package, Joy, Love, Peace. And it says here, John, I hope you don't have these cards yet. These are the extras that he threw in. Chances are you do. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, bud. Your friend, Jason, MrFisherbike. And there's the rest of the card there. And most of all, we wish you the happiness of knowing how much you're loved every day of the year. So, Jason, thank you very much. So let me show you here. I may have to, a good thing I brought my scissors because he packaged up the prize that I showed very well here. So let me just do a couple clips here. As you can see, it says here, prize winnings. So let's see if I can get to this here quickly. Very well packaged, Jason. All right, so the first one, I went with the graded prize, and they just happen to be PSA. So again, falls into my collection. There was one modern card and one vintage card. And the modern card, you can't go wrong with it. And seeing it now in person, this is just a great looking card. I love it. It's a die cut. It's the 1997 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. Star Attractions in a PSA 8.5. Let's see if I can, so you can see there sort of like the metallic foil background to it, the die cut. Sorry for the glare there, but I wanted to see if you could see how shiny this card is. And again, with a die cut card like this, getting it in an 8.5, that's a pretty high grade. Here is the back of it. So really cool. This is my first Griffey graded card. I do have his 89 Upper Deck and other rookies, but I don't have them graded. One day I may get his 89 Upper Deck graded, although for all I know, it's probably an 8 or 9. So again, there's no real rush in getting that graded. I'm not looking to sell it, but there is that one prize. And the second one is the 1964 Topps Tito Francona, PSA 6, but I loved the centering of it. Again, not a Hall of Famer, but just a cool 64. I love the design of 64 Topps. So, hey, even though he's not a Hall of Famer, still a really cool looking card. Love the uniform there, and I love what they did in 64, where they have the top of the player there sort of popping out from the image and going on to the border. I think that's really cool. Here's the back. Back's a little, diamond centering, off centering a little bit, which may have, decreased the grade a bit. But again, I'm not so much about the back as I keep saying, but that is a nice looking front. The centering is maybe top to bottom off a little bit, but really nice vintage card there. So Jason, thank you again for holding the contest. It was fun putting a YouTuber sports lineup together. I don't know how many games my team would win in any type of league, but I know we would have had a lot of fun. And again, congratulations again on 1,000 subscribers. All right, so in addition to just sending me the winning prize that I chose, he sent me some extra cards here. So I'm going to open these up. I haven't opened these up yet, so I don't know what they are. I could sort of tell from the back of this one. And so we'll see if he maybe got lucky and found one that I don't have in my collection, but we'll see. All right. First one here, we have This is the Donruss Bat Kings. And you know what, Jason? This is from 2020 Diamond Kings. I'm going to have to look this up, but I do not believe that I have this one. So you did a great job with this. Yeah, I'm almost positive I don't have this. So that is awesome. And here is another card. This is a cool card. This one I do have, but this one is really cool. This one is from 2008 Upper Deck Ballpark Collection. And check out these Red Sox players. You got David Ortiz, Hall of Famer. Manny Ramirez, Hall of Very Good. You got Jason Varitek, also Hall of Very Good. And of course, Wade Boggs. So you got a quad memorabilia, not serial numbered. Doesn't look, yeah, this one isn't serial numbered. I think there is a version, a patch version. So all four pieces are patches. I think that one is serial numbered. I have the patch piece as well, but definitely a cool card to add to my overall Wade Boggs collection. But again, Jason, I am almost positive that I do not have that card in my collection. So you did very well, my friend. So there you are, an update to my top 50 most valuable vintage cards in my collection that I will use as the new baseline for next year's top 50 set or video. And the prize winning from MrFisherbike's contest and two cool extra Boggs cards, one that I'm pretty sure do not have in my collection. So Jason, thank you very much. I will put a link to Jason's channel. And again, I'm sure most of you that follow my channel follow MrFisherbike's channel. But in case you do not, please give his channel a look. Great guy, great member of the card community here on YouTube. So that's all I have for you. Until next time, thanks for watching.